pretty atmospheric, isn't it? That muffling, hooting cry just reverberating around the forest. I used to think this species sounded a bit like an owl when I was just getting into birdsong ID, but it's actually one that is vastly underappreciated and overlooked as a species, very common across the UK, and it's the woodpigeon, or Ysguthan in Welsh. In woodlands, gardens, parks and urban areas, the woodpigeon's song starts becoming a really familiar part of our soundscape as spring progresses all across the country. And it's got a really characterful rhythm to it if you start tuning in and paying attention to that muffled cry. So you can hear there with its cooing song that it's generally formed of about 5 syllables, with the greatest emphasis usually placed on the second. So you have hoo 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 hoo. Now this is quite different to a very similar species whose song is quite similar if you're not closely attuned to birdsong as yet, and that's the collared dove. So with the collared dove, sadly I don't have any recordings of this species as yet, but it will feature in an upcoming ID video. But the collared dove varies in that usually it only has 3 syllables. It sounds like a dispirited sort of football fan just sat there chanting a sort of mantra like United, United. That's how I always remember the collared dove anyway. I mean, it doesn't sound quite as dull as that, but it usually has that 3-syllabic song. Do do do, do do do, which, as I said before, contrasts to our woodpigeon here with its muffled 5-syllabic song. And besides the actual song of the woodpigeon itself, there's another element to its display that it uses to try and woo females, and that's in its display flight. So woodpigeons will take to the air in these sort of undulating flights, and at the very peak of these undulations they'll clap their wings, and it's a really distinctive sound that you'll often hear. Sometimes you'll disturb them walking through an environment like this, and then you'll hear this clatter of wings and then suddenly a clap clap clap, and that's the woodpigeon's sort of display flight. It's basically saying, look how fit and strong I am, I can do this in the air. It's a really cool sound to listen out for as well, a different element to their display. So there we are, the song of the plump woodpigeon, a bit of a different species to feature on the Birdsong ID series after the more elaborate songs that we've heard from all the different songbird species so far. But it's nonetheless a really nice, overlooked species that has quite an atmospheric song that's really just amazing to hear sometimes on like a really calm, misty morning in the early hours of the day, hearing that muffled cry ring out across the landscape. It's really superb. But everything's starting to gear up in these next few weeks as spring progresses, and I think I'm going to struggle to keep up with all the different species that start arriving on our shores. I can already hear a chiff-chaff singing around me here in the forest, which we have not touched on as yet, and there's going to be all manner of different species to try and catch up with, so I'll do my best and see what I can bring. But otherwise, get out there early in the morning whenever you can, tune in, see what you can hear, try putting some of these to practice, and I really hope that you're finding them useful and are learning a lot more about the sounds of birds around you. I look forward to bringing you the next one next week.